Well, a very good evening to you, race fans. Welcome back to Alliance Sim Racing's V8 Supercar series. This is round 2 of season 5, and after an epic opening week at Spa, we've crossed the Atlantic for round 2, landing at none other than the fast-flowing and fearsome Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. It's a beautiful part of the world. It's a very, very tricky little track. It keeps you honest. It's fast. It's narrow. Really nowhere to hide for these drivers, and I, for one, am absolutely looking for it. On behalf of everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcasts, a very fond welcome to all of our viewers. And back in the booth with me tonight is none other than Mr. Josh Harris. Josh, how was the trip away last week, my friend?
Good evening, Jared. Thank you very much for having me back. I'm glad that after a sneaky week off that I was able to resume my position here in the mate. All that I will say about weather in sunny Bali is much more my style than cold, dreary, winter-ridden New South Wales. So whilst I was very disappointed to not join you over in Belgium and have a look at these amazing ASR drivers on the Spa circuit, I probably wasn't missing you all that much, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, look, I suppose we'll take that. We won't hold it against you. Well, it's a good night to be back. We've had a cracker of a first week, and we're back into it straight away. Now, tonight's racing is going to be a little bit different from the usual because, of course, iRacing and their Infinite Wisdom have scheduled a maintenance evening this evening, so we may actually see races hitting a time limit rather than a laps limit. So that will be an interesting one to keep an eye on. I don't imagine it's going to play a huge part in strategy, but it is something that teams will have to be aware of, just watching the clock as well as that lap counter. Our drivers are out doing their lone qualifying as we speak, and race 1 set for 13 laps or 25 minutes, followed by a 35 lap or 50 minute race number 2, with 2 compulsory pit stops, only a 50% fuel tank, and of course that reverse top 5 grid playing into it. It should be a really interesting one because Road Atlanta, it really is a track that is very, very tough to pass on in a Gen3 Supercar, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not going to be honest, it's just a tough track to get around in a Gen3 Supercar. When we think about these cars, we talk about it often, overpowered, undertired, so easy to get wheel spin and oversteer and all those sorts of things. There's so much undulation. I have never seen a racetrack and that more resembles a roller coaster in my life. If you rather than looking down here on a 2D map that we've got on our screen, you change that to a 3D elevation map. You go up and down more times than I care to admit. It is a significant challenge just to get these cars around the track. There's no doubt in my mind that the team at ASR will do an absolutely fantastic job, but these guys have got their hands full just racing before they even start to think about passing, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, it will be a very interesting one. I'm predicting only a couple of corners that are going to present really key passing opportunities this evening, and that will of course be the tight right-hander as you come off the small straight after the S's in the first half of the track, and then of course we've got that huge back straight, very, very heavy downhill braking zone into that final left-right chicane, which we will call turn 10A, 10B, but I think it needs a better name than that, honestly. That will be the really tricky one for these guys to negotiate, but also presents a brilliant opportunity for overtaking as you try and get the power down back up the hill and around those final couple of bends down to the start-finish line. It's going to present all sorts of challenges tonight, I am sure. If you're out there in the chat, say hello. We hope that you are here to enjoy another night of fantastic racing. In terms of the positions after round 1, we've had a bit of an issue with our championship standings coming through from the website that hosts them. We'll figure that out for next week, but to give you all a bit of an update at home, and for you as well, Josh, I suppose, after missing round number 1, Wayne Walker setting off this season in the same way that he finished last season, taking the win at Spa ahead of Vanderkraan, Jamie Dyke, Ken Latta, Scott Gamble, Michael Whiting there as well, Rain Campbell in amongst it with Nick Clifton, Stephen Varga and Chris Miller rounding out the top 10. So a few familiar names there from last season, and then a few names that we haven't actually seen much of here at ASR before, already starting to make their presence felt. So it should be a very, very interesting race this evening. We'll see how it all stacks up. Qualifying is just about completed, so in just a moment we'll be able to bring you the grid I can tell you from a look down the timing sheets, it's a very mixed bag of names that you may recognise in the top 10 again this evening. So we'll just have to see how this race pans out. We've got an absolute sprint to start with, Josh. I don't know what to expect this evening, honestly.
Some frantic racing, I think, would be what I would expect, certainly from my time racing at Road Atlanta. It's a really fun track, but also a track that invites mistakes. So you talked about those key passing opportunities, Jared, and I absolutely agree that they are great passing opportunities. But the other thing that Road Atlanta does that not a huge amount of other tracks do is they give you all of these really fantastic opportunities based on people making mistakes. So someone getting a bit of oversteer and you get a run into turn one, get a yeses, etc. So it's going to be really exciting.
Absolutely will be, as we see the grid coming up, and we're going to jump straight to it this evening because, of course, a short time frame means the drivers have been instructed to get very, very quickly onto the grid this evening. So let's take a look down at as we wait for the rest of the cars to grid. Wayne Walker and Scott Gamble take the front row ahead of Ken Latta and John Latham. Then Dean Logsdale and Scott Mackay ahead of Ryan Campbell and Jamie Dyke, followed by Mark Poynton and Michael Whiting. As we look further back through the field, Daniel Hall and Luke Allman ahead of Ron McKee and Jamie McKnight. Then Vandermeulen and Stewart ahead of Rushworth and Varga. Hardy and Varga rounding out the top 20. Fisher and Sipple alongside each other. Then Farrington and Troy Sipple. Todd Martin and Alistair Bales ahead of Bill Manuel and Nick Heusler, then Rick Vigar and Michael Schroeder rounding out your 30, and Peter Sattler and Mick Clifton ahead of Andrew Johnston and Brad Grant, and Craig Rose and David Logsdale ahead of Matt Vanderkram and Ashley Paul to round out the field. It is a very, very full field. You can see the cars stretch right up, around and back up the hill. Some of those drivers up front really just relying rather drivers at the back of this field will be relying on the cars in front to get a good idea of where the lights are. And I tell you what, one of those times where you're glad that iRacing isn't quite the real world, because you'd never have a hope in hell of seeing the lights from back there, would you?
No, absolutely not. In the real world, you are absolutely relying on engineers on the radio to tell you when to go. One thing I just noticed there, Jared, I was looking at some other stuff, doing some math instead of looking at the results during qualifying. Matt Vanderkram right at the very back, so I would suggest that he didn't get a lap time in at all. Made a couple of little mistakes, and there's a man that's going to be on a mission. How far forward can he push? But lots of familiar names at the front, and it feels like last season all over again, doesn't it? Wayne Walker and Scott Gamble on the front row.
Let's see what it brings as we get underway for race number one. The lights are out, and immediately our drivers full throttle down towards turn one. Wayne Walker and Scott Gamble lead them down with already a few movements happening back further in the pack, so we go 2 and 3 wide into turn one. Always a dangerous one here at Road Atlanta. Thankfully, everyone remembering that we're on cold tyres here, guys, and we start to get into the first of the S's. By here, the drivers want to have figured out their running order, because there's not a lot of room to squeeze multiple cars through here at Road Atlanta. We start the downhill section. Walker and Gamble still out in front, ahead of Latta and Campbell, then Mackay, Logsdale and Latham behind them. Point and Dyke and Hall, your top 10, as we start to get underway for this 13-lap sprint.
Very quickly, the guys have managed to get themselves in a single file run, and that's going to be important tonight. Very easy to find yourself offline and under immediate attack from the people around you, as we see there.
Run wide. He's going back on the track there now. He's lost a few positions as a result, though.
And a big run down to turn 10 is really going to affect him. He's going to lose a number of positions by the time that he gets to that big braking zone, to that passing opportunity that you mentioned, Jared.
And here it is, the chicanes. It's a tough one in any car, as we see. Is that Scott Mackay that's gone shooting off into the kitty litter as well? I believe it might have been. He's having all sorts of trouble here tonight. You see him falling down the order. And that is lap one done and dusted. Let's start to check out how we're stacking up throughout the field. A couple of battles going on out in front. Walker, Gamble and Latta starting to set the pace early. But Wayne Walker already running away.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know it's impressive to get a second gap on your first lap, but we know from everything that we've seen Wayne Walker do up to this point, Jared, that he is a man who can absolutely pull a gap. He'll be looking to stretch those legs and, make sure that he protects that lead. As we mentioned at the start of the race tonight, potential to go time certain, Jared. So, certainly not the sort of race where you have the opportunity to sit back and not make those moves and feel like exactly when the race is going to be over. So it is important early to get your moves done and make the very most of it early on.
Yeah, absolutely it is. We take a look a little bit back through the field, and we've got the usual pairing, Angry Birds and Quantum Racing. If ever there was a more distinct pairing in the ASR field for battles, I don't want to know about it. We see Varga and Chad Vigar, going side by side down the back straight as they start to sort things out. James Hardy just behind them as well. And then, of course, you've got a few of the other regular names around. Speaking of regular names, a big hello to Simon Haynes and Brad Hayes in the chat. Hope you're both doing well, folks. It's going to be a very interesting night tonight with this time limitation. Not something we're used to having to keep an eye on as well. As we jump forward and we see Ken Latta now under quite a lot of pressure from Rain Campbell, who had a very, very strong first round at Spa. And once again, he's here battling it out in the front half, in fact, the front five of the field. Let's see if he does put a move on here or if he saves at the end of the straight. Gets very, very close to the back end of Ladder. No contact, but certainly just keeping it tight, ready for the run out of the corner. Let's see what Campbell's got. Did he have the pace down this back straight to think about a move? He's starting to lose a little bit of distance to Campbell. It's not much, but it might be just enough for Ladder to hang on to the spot.
Yeah, and it's good to see battles emerging straight away, Jared. These guys are absolutely getting stuck into it. But as you said, a pretty tough place to pass. So it's going to be one where these guys really do earn their keep and finding those ways to get past. But as we see there, just those elevation changes here at Road Atlanta are wild. And as I alluded to just before the start, that's the sort of stuff that you see there on that last corner. Cars running wide, potentially presenting the opportunity for people to get moves done into corners that you wouldn't expect based on the car in front. Just making a little mistake in various places.
We go a little bit further back now. The battle for 7th, realistically, it's probably a bit more of a train than that. We may even have to adjust just for the number of cars that we've actually got battling it out here at the moment. But keep your eyes here on Daniel Hall, the Evolution Racing Team entry at the back of this train, because he is all over the back of Jamie Dyke from Fishy Motorsports. And just a little further up the field, we've got Dean Logsdale under huge amounts of pressure from John Latham in the Shadow Racing entry. So at both ends of this train, a whole lot going on. Mark Point in the middle, Frogleaf Juice Racing just hanging in there at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. He is. I find it amazing, Jared. As we duck back and have a bit of a look at a moment here for the 39 car.
Ashley Hall, just a privateer entry, having a bit of a moment. And manages to keep it under control and then just steps a little too far and into the wall. Not what he would have in mind there, I'm sure.
No, that is the curse of the supercar. As we see now.
Speaking of moments, Mark Point in the Froglet Juiced entry.
Yeah.
Big moment.
Up over the top of that hill, Jack. So easy to have a moment. And we see here 3 wide into turn 1. These bad runs can do that to people. As we do see them get themselves sorted out now, it looked like Jamie Dyke just had to find a way to tuck back into that train and make sure that he didn't disappear down the order. But these guys doing a fantastic job. And I'll be honest, Jared, a couple of people in different colours this year's just catching me out a little bit. I had been familiar with a lot of the livery, but a couple of changes this season. It's going to take me a little while to get my head around exactly who's who in the zoo.
Got to keep you on your toes where we can, mate. We go back to Luke Orman, who's locked in it at the moment as well. As I said before, it's really not a battle of 5 or 6 cars for 7th. It's a whole train goes all the way back. And the Orman just caught up in the middle of it at the moment, just on the back of Michael Whiting and the Fishy Motorsports entry in 025. But then Sean Vandermeulen, who's back this season, good to see. We'll jump forward because Mark Poynton, you can see side by side, he's just barely hanging on there from Daniel Hall in that Evolution Racing Team entry. Jamie Dyke just sticking with it as well. This is getting to be a bit of a tight little battle going on between these 3 or 4 cars here, and yeah, it's going to be a very tight one right throughout, I'm sure. Ken Latta continues to get attention from Rain Campbell up front here. These two have just been coming forward and backward a little across the last lap and a half, but Campbell absolutely not letting Latta get away. What it is letting Scott Gamble do out in front, though, is open up just a little bit more breathing room and to focus on the gap ahead to Wayne Walker. Now Campbell takes a big look up the inside, doesn't quite have the pace at this point, but just popping the nose out there, putting the pressure on Latta a little further. Let's stick with it, because down the back straight we go. It'll all be about the drive out of this corner to see who has the pace. And a big hello to Pato and Liver in the chat. Good to have you along, folks. It's a pretty quick start. Honestly, we're already halfway through this opening sprint, and at this pace, you know, given that the racing has been fairly clean so far, I don't think we're going to run into time issues, because these guys are absolutely flying around Road Atlanta tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as they don't have a safety car out and about, then they should be okay. But of course, once those safety cars do come out, it presents a whole different challenge. Speaking of challenges, Jared, we've said it a couple of times now, very hard to pass tonight. I've just cast my eyes up and down the totem pole. ASR, usually known for having some movers and shakers who do some crazy things and really do move up the order. But we look down, the person who has made up the most ground, Matt Vanderkram, starting from nearly last, but still only made up 8 positions. So, you know, it's probably fair to say that Matt Vanderkram is faster than the people that he's racing at the moment. I wouldn't say that starting in 38th is his you know, usual representation of pace, and still struggling to move forward at any great rate. So it's why we see so many of these cars on the totem pole, Jared, less than half a second off the car in front, because it's just so hard to pass that you know, we look there at our little totem pole, Latham in 5th, 5 seconds off Rain Campbell in front of him, and then just a train of cars behind, because unfortunately no one can pass. So whenever Latham's out the front, he holds all the cards, and he just has to keep on hitting each one of his apexes every lap, and he should be, within reason, pretty okay in there.
It's always tough, isn't it? And you know, John Latham's going to have to put in a lot of effort here to drive defensively as we cut over to him. Have a look at the absolute train behind, though. Clear air out in front, which gives him plenty of time to think about where he's positioning that car. But you know, you look at the names that he's got behind him right now: Dean Logsdale, Mark Point, and Daniel Hall, Jamie Dyke, Michael Whiting. You've got Luke Ormond and Sean Van Millen in there as well. There are no slow drivers behind him at the moment. So if he's not feeling the pressure, they're doing something wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. But one thing that I do know is that if Latham can just keep his head forward and he spends more time driving his race, making sure that he has blind exit speed on the corner, he's going to do far better than if he starts to really get caught up in looking at what's going on behind him. I actually think that Latham doesn't need to spend too much time tonight driving defensively, Jared. He's just got to drive absolutely as fast as he can, and the nature of this circuit will take care of the rest.
Certainly showing he's got the pace at the moment too. He's really not letting that gap behind close up. Dean Logsdale almost looks like he's starting to hold up the train now as Latham opens up to almost a second gap, which is, you know, just evidence that he's definitely pushing along here. As we go forward, still Ken Latta and Rain Campbell going at it. Campbell just hasn't found the move yet, but you can almost taste it, can't you? He's just probing Latta here for weaknesses on certain corners. He's not pushing ahead too soon, just lining him up and waiting for the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, and you know, this is where maybe that opportunity just never presents itself, Jared. So as important as it is for John Latham to just race his race, Latta is exactly the same. But for Rain Campbell here, there's nothing that he can really do unless he, you know, gets a better run out of a corner. He probably doesn't have the arrow speed as he does now. Stick the nose up the inside, and just a tiny bit of contact to look like they're on turn in, but those guys have fallen back into order. Line of stern, as they continue around the track. And really, Rain just needs to wait, and what he needs to focus on is really making sure that he gets off every corner well, so that the moment, no matter how big or small, he's there to capitalise. And for Rain Campbell, really what he's looking for is something like a mistake up over the hill, being able to capitalise into turn 1 at the other end. As we see a little bit of smoke down here at the turn 10S's, someone has had a bit of a drama, but we look back through the field and just watch them all stream down the hill. So many of these battle packs forming up, Jared.
Keeps going on, absolutely, and the bulk of it really right now is from 5th back through to, oh look, you'd almost say back through to about 12th at the moment. So these guys, McKnight and Rushworth, are battling it out for 14th, just a little bit off the back of that main pack, but geez, it is tight at the other end of that. Take a look at Sattler and Todd Martin. As usual, Angry Birds and Quantum Racing going at it right throughout the pack, wherever you find them. Matt Vanderkraan, just pointing out, you know, you talk about a lack of overtaking opportunity. Perhaps he's just gotten a bit lucky so far, but at this stage up 14 positions from where he started down the back, so certainly looking to make up for the lack of qualifying time posted by moving as quickly as he can through the field, and I suspect assisted here and there by his teammates around him.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Vanderkraan, certainly a little bit lucky, certainly putting in some hard work. 236, who, I'm not sure exactly who that is. I'm just trying to find them on my leaderboard. Sorry, maybe 263 appears to have blown an engine and
Michael
has
Schroeder.
just towed.
Michael Schroeder, Accelerate Sim Racing, has just, yeah, you're absolutely right. It looks like he's done the motor. Go back and we'll take a look. Oh, is this going to be one of the classic downshift moments?
You bet, sir. That's exactly what that's going to be.
There it is, on the downshift. There goes the motor, and
There's
Michael
all that
Schroeder's
smoke
race is
that we
over.
talked
So there was already a puff there though, so I think that was actually just afterwards. But unfortunately for Michael Schroeder, that is his race done.
I think these guys have a quick repair, Jared. He may
Even then, at this point in the race,
the time's racking up now. So
lap 11 of 13. Even if he gets back out there, P38 is solidly locked away for him, unfortunately.
Absolutely, it is. So yeah. Look, Matt Vanderkraan, you know, having a couple of things go his way. There's a couple of other people. Scott McKay's had a rough run. Dylan Sipple's down a lot of positions. Law McKee obviously had something spin. But Matt Vanderkraan putting in the work. But, you know, I've got to be honest, Jared, given some races that we've seen other people putting in ASR, up 14 from 38th or 39th, whatever it was, probably not as far as we might have expected at some other tracks that are a little easier to pass on.
Yeah, perhaps the case, to be fair. We take a look further forward, and this is absolutely Wayne Walker's race so far, but Scott Gamble's really started to close this down as the laps progress. Now, whether that's Walker just taking the foot off the gas a little to keep it straight, we'll take a bit of a look at his in sim cam. You can see him working the wheel down through the S's. Scott Gamble sticking with him, but Wayne Walker, as always, super calm, super composed, and making it look relatively easy at the moment with just over a lap and a half to go.
Yeah, absolutely he is, and we see there it's a fantastic shot getting over the shoulder and watch the work that he puts in. As we see, the wheel work is reasonably composed, Jared. There's not a huge amount going on, which I think is, you know, to say that he's reasonably comfortable, reasonably in control of this car, and I reckon that he's a man who's, you know, within reason, pretty comfortable going about his business.
Yeah, absolutely. Gamble's certainly there and threatening, but it's going to take a pretty significant mistake at this stage to see Wayne Walker upset from that P1. As he comes around, there's the white flag, the shadow of Barney waving away there on the main straight as Walker begins the final lap. And we've got a few battles. That battle for 5th is starting to really calm down now. People are just spacing out a little further, I think. But it is a sprint race after all. Not a lot of opportunity to get through. And as we take a look, you can see now almost just calming down to make sure everyone gets to the end at this stage. which is probably a pretty big consideration for a lot of these drivers, because at this point of the race, you don't want to give up a top 10 spot, do you?
No, absolutely not. It's important now, within reason, to consolidate the longer race coming after this. So I think that all these drivers will be conscious of the fact that the last thing that you want to do is bin the car now. Although we do see
Sattler just surviving that, almost racing. That's going to cost him a lot of positions.
Yeah, thankfully, right at the back end of the race, so as spread out as it's going to get. But certainly, all of these guys will be conscious of the fact that one more position's great, but you want to be pretty sure that you can get it done. Speaking of getting it done, we do now see for the last time Wayne Walker come through the last turn, and he will greet the checkered flag. A little bit of a slide there on the way out, but that finish line's so easy to matter. Scotty Gamble in second place, as we see Ken Latta across the line in third, Rain Campbell in fourth. Did manage to get John Latham at the end, if I am remembering correctly about the battle packs that were going on. Dean Logsdale in sixth, Mark Poynton in seventh, Daniel Hall in eighth, and Jamie Dyke in ninth, and Mr. Fisher himself, Michael Whiting, in 10th spot, rounding out your top 10. Fantastic race, Joe.
Absolutely, as we see Rick Vargar just barely holding off Mick Clifton from Accelerate there, 0.11 in it at the end, and a very, very close finish to this race, right up and down the leaderboard. Let's wait for the official results to come through, because we will be back into it in no time. There will be very, very little time between races tonight to make sure we do get the full number of laps in, and so I'm not sure we're going to have a bunch of time to chat to any of the drivers mid-race either, as we wait for just the last couple of drivers to come around. And we did see Scott Mackay having a bit of an unfortunate incident just towards the end of that race as well. Ashley Hall, unfortunately, getting another little moment and off track there as well, so that's impacted them. But we will wait now for the official results there from race number 1 to come through, as the last of our drivers makes their way across the line, and we get ready to jump straight on in to the feature race this evening. The results for race number 1 look a little as follows. As we just wait for iRacing to actually let us see them. That's always it's always the trick, isn't it?
iRacing doing iRacing things.
Things, absolutely.
We do see our guys gritting straight back up again. Absolutely no time to wait.
All right. Well, in that case, we might actually just come on back to that, because I think we're going to be getting underway pretty quickly with how quickly the grid is forming here. The drivers having listened to race control when they were told that they had to get a bit of a move on here this evening, because we do not have a huge amount of time before, of course, we get to the maintenance period this evening. So let's go down to the track as the drivers get ready to get underway once again. We may as well use this as a bit of a time to have a look through the grid then. Of course, Latham and Campbell now find themselves on the opening row, and Latta and Gamble just behind them, then Wayne Walker and Dean Logsdale, Poynton, Hall, Dyke and Whiting. As we get underway, once again, John Latham gets the opportunity off the start, but Rain Campbell gets a cracker off the line, immediately jumps out to the front of the pack and leads them into turn 1. But Ken Latta right there with him as well, Scott Gamble right behind. This is going to be a fast and furious opening lap as the drivers settle in to 35 laps here. We will bring up across the time. And there we've got the first moment. That was Daniel Hall, the Evolution Racing Team entry. And that has set off a cascade of events behind. So far, so good. I think everyone's managed to either get out of the way or get back up and running. It doesn't look like we've actually had any drivers end up in the wall, which is nothing short of a miracle at that particular point. That is a blind crest that you're coming up and over. Very, very lucky indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting how big the field spread timing coming through. And interestingly, Jared, it is absolutely still jam-packed. We see 3 of the fishy cars in the background there cluttering sorry, the Angry Birds cars, not the Fishy cars. It was 3 of the Angry Birds cars. Not exactly sure who it was, but goodness gracious me, we didn't give these drivers a single moment to take a breather in between races. And what do you know? The red mist is still down, and they are at it, hammering.
Absolutely. We'll go back because it looks like there's been a couple of them caught up in amongst that there. We'll start with Craig Rose, who getting back on track and coming down to this turn. I'm just wondering if there's been a bit of a moment there. Oh, a little bit of net code even, because there was a huge amount of space between those cars from what we could see. And unfortunately for Craig Rose, that has not ended well at all. And then as we take a look from the point of view of Michael Schroeder, I think he just gets caught in it as the quantum car goes around, and nowhere to go for poor old Michael. Ends up just having to stop dead, avoids too much damage to the car, but finds himself with a bit of catch-up work to do.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate incident, and nothing that Michael Schroeder could do there. Disappointing for him though. Absolutely his own undoing in race 1, but that has put him back in the pack and really seen him caught up in an unfortunate incident where he is the innocent party. But enough of that. We have got our teams now all line astern pretty much. They are neat, orderly, and getting about their racing. We have 35 laps tonight to do 2 compulsory pit stops. The only question is, how do our drivers undertake their strategy? What is the plan? I have seen a couple of people diving in and making their first pit stops already.
Yeah, and with 2 to get out of the way, I mean, the 50% fuel load is not really going to be the consideration with 2 compulsory pit stops. It will be about when you take those pit stops and just what sort of time they cost you. You'd almost be tempted to hold on the possibility of a safety car, wouldn't you? Maybe?
Oh, I don't know, Joe. The chance of getting 2 safety cars is limited. 50% fuel load is going to get you through a reasonable amount of laps here. How many laps? So what have we got? 165 litres probably in the tank. So yeah, you're going to get somewhere in the vicinity of 17 or 18 laps, Jared. If you're down in the pack, I think a very early stop, put it up on the jacks, drop it straight back off the jacks, 1 or 2 seconds, standing time only. Maybe shove whatever fuel will fit in, and then get back out on track and run yourself as long as you possibly can to try and get that safety car for your second stop, and see if that keeps you up.
Haviland Scott Mackay takes the dive past Lon McKee. He's been setting that up for a few corners, and once again, that chicane, it's going to be one of the best opportunities. Really, really interesting inside line taken there. You saw by, was that Todd Martin? No. I apologize, that was a lap car going inside, which makes a bit more sense as we look at it. I say, I don't think Todd Martin's driving for AJR last I checked. Brad Grant in the Team AJR car just doing his best to stay out of the way as the pack comes through and overlaps him. It's so far, again at the risk of causing mayhem, so far it's been fairly clean. Luke Orman is just back in front of a small pack here. Jamie Dyke's right on his tail, then Michael Stewart and Daniel Hall. So this battle for ninth continues as Dyke gets a big look up the inside. Does he have the drive out of the corner? It's cost him too much speed. He's now going to have to defend against Stewart behind as he looks for an opportunity on Allman as they come to the chicane. This is going to be very, very interesting because Stewart's closing the gap. Dyke's closing the gap to Allman. He's going to go for it. There he is. Swings wide. Michael Stewart decides to stay to the outside, get the better line. Big lock up from Jamie Dyke. Can Luke Allman get the reversal? He's got it done. Gets the switchback after Dyke's very, very minor error, but Dyke finds himself on the inside of the turn onto the home straight. Just enough room.
Got the inside for turn 1 as well. I'll be surprised if... looks like Allman is going to close the door.
Big moment in the background as Daniel Hall, unfortunately, cops just enough a knock from Michael Stewart to send him sideways. That's going to drop him back a little further, but kept it mostly under control.
Yeah, absolutely, and some genuinely impressive driving there from Luke Allman, managing to keep Jamie Dyke at bay. I thought being on the outside of the last shot duck, but obviously got great drive, and we now see ourselves up into the section of track where Jamie Dyke got that run and managed to get that putt. So we'll see on this lap.
We take a look, we're right in the middle of Todd Martin, Lon McKee and Scott Mackay, all very, very closely tied together at the moment. They make their way onto the back straight, and I'd say as a guess, Scott Mackay's probably got the run here. He's closing. We'll see a little bit of that side draft as he tries to just slow McKee down. A little bit of rubbing of panels as they fight for space. Oh, this is going to be dangerous there. They go into the fence.
A lot of rubbing.
There's rubbing of panels and there's rubbing of the rear quarter, and Lon McKee, with no way to pull it up on the grass, goes hard into the wall. Is that going to bring us into a safety car?
Unfortunately, Jared, there's just no need for that. It's super disappointing to see guys rubbing that hard on a straight bit of track at the end of the day. I know that there's no doubt that we want to get. Sorry, Jared, I've just been listening into race control. There's no doubt that we want to get that side draft, but it's such a shame to see those guys, crashing on what is a relatively straight piece of track.
Now, I wonder if this is strategy or whether there's a bit of a thought that there may be a safety car on the way as well. We haven't heard it just yet, but you're seeing a lot of drivers starting to just grab a quick pit stop. Matt Vanderkraan set it off, and so he's grabbed his first. We haven't seen just yet. Here comes the safety car now. Safety car has been called, so I wonder if that is a strategy move from the likes of Matt Vanderkraan, because he's just ducked in, done his pit stop, he's gotten back out. Does that mean that he can potentially, and I imagine it would if I'm recalling the rules correctly, it would allow him to get another safety car, another pit in under this safety car.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
if
it gets him right up to the front of the field.
The only question is whether they have burnt enough fuel at this point, Jared, to take what they need to get home. But certainly, if Vanderkraan is able to get back in, if he got his stop done, or if he was in the pit lane before the safety car was called, which he was,
well
then
inside, he was on his way out.
My interpretation of the rules is that he is entitled to come straight back in.
It'll be interesting to see what he does here. Basically, the entire field hitting. You can see the leaderboard just lighting up with drivers hitting their pit bays. That's 23, 24 cars. Sean Vandermeulen did pit back on lap 2, so he's going to keep going. Craig Rose goes in, Manuel goes in, Sattler, Johnston, Matt Vanderkraan keeps on cruising. Let's see what he picks up from this. So he was sitting back in about 30th prior to this safety car, and looks to be coming up behind Ashley Hall, so he'll sit in at 16th with all said and done. So that's not a bad gain for a half lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just having a bit of a look here at our pit count. I'm surprised to see that none of the guys who did their early stop came back in. So what that tells me, Jared, is it is too early at this stage to fit the required fuel in to get all the way home. So this has worked out really, really well. This will be hugely beneficial for anyone that did the early pit stop. And they're going to be in a great position. As you said, Sean Vandermeulen, Dean Logsdale, I'm pretty sure was another name that I saw. He's up into 8th, having taken a very early pit stop and potentially been involved in a little bit of early shenanigans. So those guys are doing a great job, and have benefited from this safety car, and we'll wait to see now what happens going forward, whether there's another safety car they can take advantage of or anything like that.
Interestingly, Lon McKee's just gone back in. I haven't seen anything to suggest that that's a penalty, so I wonder if he's going to try and get the second stop done here.
Yeah, potentially. What have we got, Jared? My maths isn't great. We've got 18 laps to home.
Oh, more than that. We've got 20.
Sorry, you're right. 28 to home.
Yeah, my math is struggling tonight as well, but yeah, you're spot on, 28 to home.
Yeah.
So that's a long way on a half tank of fuel.
It is. Look,
it's not impossible.
My math's telling me, Jared. So they're using 3.4, maybe 3.5 a lap. They're going to use somewhere in the vicinity of 96 to 98 litres to get home from here. Great opportunity to get one of your... you're not quite. A full tank's 133 litres in these beasts, so they've got half of that on board. So they've got 66 and a half, but still,
they need more than they can get in right now, is what we're saying.
Absolutely. There's no way that they can fuel save that 30 odd litres.
Challenge accepted. Come on, drivers, let's see it.
But if you were at the back of the field, Jared, you may make the choice to come back in and just top up again, because you can catch back up to the train, and it'll just make your last stop just that little bit shorter.
Looks like Lauren McKee's visit was to repair the damage, so of course that'll be the tow back to pits. Unfortunately.
Of course, because the tow, under ASR rules, the tow does not count.
That's going to be less than helpful for Lauren.
Yep.
Finds himself down a lap, but look, no second pit stops being done there, even though a number of the drivers would have gotten away with it. I think Damon Fisher and Brad Grant, the two Team AJR entries, down in 29th and 36th at the moment. They both pitted on lap 1. Probably a little disappointed for them that they didn't get more benefit from the safety car in terms of moving past the field. Sean Vandermeulen, though, in the 9.5 Sim Sport entry, currently sitting in 5th, up 10 positions. So definitely benefiting from the safety car there, just cruising past a lot of the field as they came in for their stops. Ashley Hall, the privateer, in 15th, has not made the first stop yet. So that's going to be really tough to recover from for Ashley, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. As we do see now, our safety car has pulled away. Ray Campbell out in front has control of the field, maintaining speed as they all work their way down into this final complex.
The slowest you'll ever see here down this straight, isn't it?
Absolutely, but I'll tell you, Jared, a really challenging little safety car restart here on exactly where do you go, because so much undulation up over the hill, underneath the bridge, so easy to make a little mistake, get a bit of wheel spin when you try and get a bit greedy, go. So I'm going to be interested to see when he goes. I think it'll be on the downhill run into the last corner. There we go. He has immediately gone.
Got to let gravity be your friend, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And as we see there, though, he got the inside curve and got a little bit unsettled. So he'll be happy that ladder's just a little bit off the back of him. He's managed to pull 7/10, 8/10 straight away. So he's had a fantastic restart, but we do see immediate...
Daniel Hall and Michael Stewart side by side through turn 1.
Bit of argy-bargy going on straight away, Jared.
Daniel Hall wants that position. He wanted to get back past Michael Stewart for the earlier bump that sent him sideways, I suspect. And he's made it his own at this stage.
We see a car off in the background. I wasn't 100% sure who it was, but there was someone that got dispatched in the background, unfortunately, as these guys do get themselves, I think it was Dylan Sipple, but as these guys get themselves back up and running and get themselves back into that single file battle pack and just get back about getting their head down. Still such a long way to go, Jared. And these guys need to really settle into it and try and pick their way past, not kill their tyres too early, and make sure that they've got plenty under them to make it all the way home.
So this was Alistair Bales and Dylan Sipple who ended up off track there. We'll just try and see if we can pick exactly where it all went wrong for them. Going up the hill, and of course this crest catches everyone. Sipple just catches a bit of the grass, can't quite get the stopping down, but it's actually Alistair who goes sideways and puts Sipple into the wall as well. So we'll see if they're able to get moving again. If not, we might be straight back to safety car conditions, and that would be a very interesting one, because I don't think you'd actually see many of these guys coming in for the second stop just yet. It's far too soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we were to say that they needed
at 3.5 litres a lap, they're gonna the critical lap is somewhere around lap 15, I would think. really rough maths, it's probably a little further than that, probably a bit closer to lap 20. But as a guess, it's probably somewhere around there with the half tank limitation.
Yeah, so if we said that they can do that, so what have we got? What have we got tonight, Jared? 35 laps.
35 in total. We are on lap 10 right now, so getting through is Scott Gamble making a move and trying to hold off Wayne Walker.
I reckon that lap 16 is when we'll see cars coming in. Any time before that, and you're really relying on just a little bit of fuel saving, but we do know the undercut in these cars is fantastic, so we may see a driver take a little bit of track position, maybe jump in lap 15, if they're really brave, maybe even lap 14, Jared, and just try and make the most of that undercut, and then fuel save like crazy once they've got that track position and hold people up behind them.
It's, I tell you what, somewhere like, I mean, any of these tracks really, the amount of fuel saving you do, it's got to be a huge effort to make it worthwhile for a full extra lap, and you lose so much time in doing it potentially if you're not experienced with it. So it's something that yeah, you do have to be a little bit brave to take on. That's for sure.
The good thing about a track like this is that you can fuel save and hold people up in a very deliberate manner, and you know, there's probably a good chance that you'll be able to keep them there.
We'll see today. A little bit of back and forth between the two fishy drivers, Jamie Dyke and Michael Whiting. We do need to talk to them about just changing their colours up a bit. I reckon they're the only two fishy drivers that have cars that are effectively the same colour.
It's all about the colour of the fish on the side, Jared. Jamie Dyke running a gold fish. Mr. Fishy himself
doesn't help me so much from nose on.
Fish.
And
no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
The slightly more observant viewers amongst us might point out to me that I should be able to tell the difference between a Mustang and a Camaro. And
you probably should.
To you, I say, well, yeah, okay, fair enough. We'll jump forward.
Absolutely.
Ken Latta, Scott Gamble, and Wayne Walker. This battle for second starting to heat up now as Rain Campbell from One Performance Racing sets the pace out in front, enjoying almost a second and a half back to these three. I don't know how much longer that's going to last, though, because all three of these drivers have a lot of pace if they decide to work together here instead of battling it out.
Yeah, I think that there's long enough to go in this race that most of them are sensible enough to, you know, work together. A lot of these guys will know that they're going to be faster. You know, even if they have a little bit of car speed over the car in front, they'll be faster to stay where they are rather than get into a battle and invite other people in. So I think you'll see a little bit of strategy come into it. Run in a pack, don't fight each other, get your pit stops, and then really go to town after that pit stop cycle.
Speaking of just staying in a line, have a look at this absolute train. From P5, Sean Vandermeulen out in front, we've got Poynton, Latham, Logstail, Jamie Dyke, Michael Whiting, Luke Allman, Daniel Hall, Michael Stewart, Matt Vanderkraan, Stephen Varga, Andrew Rushworth, Chad Vigar. This train runs almost 12 cars long, I think it's fairly safe to say. You can see it all in shot there. And these guys, really not much separation in it as we rapidly approach the halfway mark of this race. I don't know how Sean Vandermeulen is going to be feeling right now, because he's getting a lot of pressure from Poynton and Latham as we get to turn one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think how he'll be feeling will be under the pump. He's doing a great job, though. It's a big pack to lead, and I assure you, Jared, that if we can see how long that battle pack is, that he can see it on his rail too. He would know that he's holding everybody up. He's behind him, and it's just important to get your nose down. I'd probably prefer, as crazy as it sounds, I'd prefer to be out the front. Jared, I'm just going to drive my race if I'm out the front, and unless I see someone actually coming up beside me, I'm just going to keep on doing what I do and driving around and around in circles, because every lap that you tick off out in front is a lap closer to the end. And you know, we've talked about how hard it is to pass all night. These guys are doing a great job, but nose to tail racing, and me personally, I think it's a lot of fun. What a cool challenge, and what a great spectacle for us to get to see. You know, so many cars all running together.
Just keeping an eye on Daniel Hall there. He's been threatening for a long way. Sean Vandermeulen has just had a bit of an error. Mark Poynton's gone through up there. So we'll see if we can see what's going on. Van Meulen on the outside. Latham's looking to make the pass, and he gets it done at turn 1. Hopefully they can get through side by side without costing each other too much time. So Van Meulen, unfortunately, that pressure just a slight crack there, but at the same time, Daniel Hall's made the move past Luke Allman as well, so Hall continues to move up through the field, only down 3 from where he started right now. Out in front, not much has changed. Dwayne Campbell still leading with about a second and a half back to Ken Latta, Scott Gamble and Wayne Walker.
Yeah, plenty of battles going on up and down the field as we inch our way closer to that all-important critical lap number. Who's going to be the first to blink? I think that this battle for 5th, Jared, this big long train all the way back through to Matt Vanderkram, I'm going to be really interested to see who jumps out of that. Do we see someone like Dean Longstaff, for instance, who probably has a little bit of trust and faith in there, you know, and save and hold guys up if he's got the track position. With him being so close to the front of this train, do we see him jump out a lap early and try and undercut his way through to the front and then hold that position when he gets there?
As we see, Daniel Hall gets another position on Michael Whiting, gets it around the outside through the chicane. So he's got some serious pace here tonight. We're going 2-3 wide. There's a lot of movement between the cars. This is looking dangerous. This could end in tears for someone here. As it stands, though, it looks like the biggest loser out of that particular little battle might just be, is that Stephen Barger off the back?
It couldn't have been. Was that a laps car, Jared?
It must have been, because I'm looking at this going, no, none of these guys have dropped out. Oh, there it goes. Daniel Hall into the wall. He's been pushing so hard for the last couple of laps, so he's going to probably be looking at this as an opportunity to think about that pit stop. All of the work comes undone in an instant as he goes spearing off the S section into the wall and loses touch with this battle.
A little bit of a tangle there with the front of one of the fishy cars. I didn't catch which one it was, but he'll be disappointed. And yeah, as you said, opportunity now. He'll dive straight into the pits, and whether he wanted to or not, he's going to be forced to run that strategy and see how many positions he can recover.
This is Daniel Hall and Michael Whiting coming into that section, and a big moment there for Dean Longsdale as well. And Hall gets alongside Whiting, gets through. Really, look, I've got to say, Hall's done that to himself. He really had to leave more room than that, because Whiting was still alongside at that point through the S's, and he's completely closed the track off. I'm going to give it to Whiting as my in my very, very unofficial and not to be trusted at all racing control capacity. I reckon Hall's pitted himself there.
Yeah, potentially. There's a few things to look at. I don't think that you can immediately pin him Whiting, that's for sure.
Watch me go.
I think that at most that gets as a racing incident, but probably more likely a penalty coming for the fishy car there. Unfortunately, Whiting may find himself in just a little bit of strife because, as he said, Hall may find himself in a little bit of strife there because, you know, he really has slammed that door closed while Whiting was still appropriately up the inside. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that looked to me to be fairly racing incident-ish as we see another touch now, and unfortunately there
gets very sideways.
Oh, and straight in front of another car. I think it's going to potentially earn himself a little bit of the attention of race control. It's one thing to be involved in an incident with one person, but to then unfortunately turn straight in front of another car is probably not what we want to see, and a bit of a shame that's how that played out.
So keep your eye on Mick Clifton here. Gets up the inside. Oh, look, I'm not gonna try and make a call on that one as to whether he was there, but yeah, the exit there. And would you believe, was that Daniel Hall?
Oh, I don't know, but
let me
whiz,
just take a quick look, because
that's a rough lap.
It would appear that was Daniel Hall that got tangled up in that. That's very rough.
That is a rough lap for poor old Daniel Hall. But anyway, he continues on. But yes, it's a shame. We don't want to see any of that happen. But you know, especially not someone who was a couple of cars back just getting unfortunately taken out. But I'm sure that they will all get their head down and get back on with racing, seeing what they can salvage out of the rest of this race. As we have now hit our halfway point, just about, Jared, we're going to come up over the hill and cross the line and enter into the second of this race.
You see Scott Mackay just forcing his way past Craig Rose. Again, that same turn. Looking a little more treacherous the more we see here tonight. But the driver's braving it all the same. This is the battle for 20th, and Scott Mackay is starting to extend. Still hasn't made his second pit stop. We're only just starting to see a few of those second pit stops coming through. Matt Vanderkraan got his second done on lap 15, as did Dean Logsdale. Andrew Rushworth came in on 16. So they'll be the ones to keep your eye on. Back in 26th right now, Vanderkraan. So he's got a lot of work to do to try and close the gap to the likes of Graham Campbell out in front. But it's not impossible. It's just very, very improbable. Yeah, at Road Atlanta, that pit lane is a very, very short one. And it doesn't take long at all to get in and out. In fact, most of these drivers seeing their pit lane times of 45 seconds or less. So it doesn't take much at all. Yeah, Matt Vanderkraan probably not going to be challenging for the front end of this race, but it will be interesting to see just how far he moves as these drivers start to come through.
We should get a benefit from the early pit, fresh tyres and getting in front of a few people. Of course, that's a diminishing return. You get to the back end of the race and suddenly everyone else has newer tyres than you. But we know that Matt Vanderkraan is a pretty impressive driver. I would expect if there's anyone out here that's going to be willing and able to defend their position, it'll be Matt. He'll do a good job. The only thing will be, just how compromised is he compared to other people. The other potential, Jared, that we may see is people just go as long as they can, so that they have the very best tyres later on. Run with the theory that the people pit early are going to be stuck in traffic and not doing their ultimate best lap times anyway, and so really run a little bit, and maybe only lose a couple of. But then you've got this, these fantastic new tyres on, and just immediately past a couple of people that are around you.
A lot of things that can change in the second half of this race, and we are only just really into the second half of it, as we keep our eyes here on Andrew Johnston and Brad Grant. They come to turn one, just jockeying for a bit of position there. With looks like that can't be. I mean, Matt Vanderkraan already started to lap on the back, is it? Certainly is. Matt Vanderkraan has this closest gap right up, and you see him hovering in the background there. They do have a lap car in the middle of them that looks like Roy Key, just trying his best to get a move on, but also stay out of the way of these cars that are a lap up. You see him move off to the side there. But the battle right now, Craig Rose, Andrew Johnston, Brad Grant, all coming into this corner. Craig Rose comfortably out in front. Johnston and Grant need to be very careful not to take each other out. Not ideal for teammates to wipe each other out.
It's not something I've got any experience in, Jared.
Oh, no, none at all, mate. None at all. We were just talking about that last night, actually. But anyhow, that's for another time. We'll jump back up front because these three still going at it. Gamble, Ladder and Walker. Nothing to separate them right now. Wayne Walker just comfortably holding on to the back of both Gamble and Ladder. None of these guys making much of a move at this stage. What is noticeable, though, is the gap to Rain Campbell out in front. That clear air has got him almost 4 seconds now ahead of these three. So whether intentional or not, these three are definitely driving at a significantly slower pace than Rain Campbell is.
Yeah, and I think that's just going to come into battling, whether you like it or not. If you've got cars that are climbing all over you, you're going to be slower. And this is where I was making a comment, Jared, that they need to work together and keep moving forward. Unfortunately, though, even if the second and third car don't think that they are making moves, just being in the first car's mirrors is going to cause them to be watching quite a bit and potentially not putting in their best lap times. We did see Wayne Walker, he got sick of being held up. He has dived into the pit lane, and it will be very interesting to see as the pit cycles finish off. Does he join in front of Scotty Gamble and Ken Ladder, or does he resume the battle once they've all from their pits back in that final position in the battle pack?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad call, right? When you're caught in behind a couple of cars battling in front of you like that, and that's not to say that Wayne Walker was significantly faster than either Gamble or Ladder, but certainly if he's feeling like he's being held up, then it's not a bad choice at all to just jump out, get that second pit stop done, and then you can let everything else kind of just sort itself out as we progress through the laps here. Wayne Walker already back out into circulation, and look at that clear air in front of him for about as far as you can see. So he'll be enjoying that, I'm sure. Right behind him, Rick Vigar, still a little way off the back. And as the tyre temps come up, I expect you'll see Wayne Walker simply walk away from him.
Yeah, and of course, whether by skill or luck, this is exactly what Wayne Walker wanted. Go in, do your pit stop, and come out into clear air. Nothing worse than doing a pit stop and coming out into the middle of the battle pack. But it will be interesting. We see Ken Ladder has dived into the pits, and it is time to see just how much pitting a lap early has benefited. It was Wayne Walker that did that initial pit stop. So it's time to see. Wayne Walker is starting to move past the teams in the pit lane, so we'll see how he goes.
Absolutely flies past. Ken Ladder is out of the pits, but a significant difference behind Ken Ladder at this point. So a bit of a big slide from Ladder. He wants to get on the back of Wayne Walker's car as quickly as he possibly can. He doesn't want to let him get too far up the road because he knows this will be the battle come the end of this race. So Wayne Walker just pushing on. Ken Ladder trying desperately to get those tyres up to temp as quickly as he can so that he can compete here. But Walker should be on track for a very, very quick lap.
Yeah, and that's just just one lap, Jared, of not being affected by the pace of the has seen Wayne Walker grab 2.5 seconds over Ken Ladder. So that is the benefit that you can have. I haven't looked at their pit stop times. There may be a little bit of under fueling and trying to make things happen that way, but we really do see a great result. And have a look at that. Sean Vandermeulen has the greatest racing outfit that I have ever seen. Shirtless, gloves on. I hope that bloke lives in Queensland, because I can tell you now that if I tried to get my rig out in the weather that we've got down here, I would freeze to death. I'd have hypothermia by the end of the race. But he is comfortable, and he is putting in a pretty good race.
I can tell you, sitting in Queensland right now, that I certainly hope Sean Van Meulen is sitting somewhere up in Darwin at the moment, because that's about the only place that I reckon you get away with that particular fire suit at the moment.
Oh, that is a fantastic fire suit. That's one of the best. Thank you very much, Jared, for bringing us that vision. That is
I aim to please.
Fantastic.
I don't know if that's what we're doing right now, but congratulations, YouTube. Enjoy that one. Rain Campbell has done his second pit stop, comes out in third, and not a great distance off the back of Aldrin and Vigar. Wayne Walker still 3 seconds behind. So Campbell's looking very, very solid here, and certainly on track. He's only got 12 odd laps to go. This is going to be. Zoe Vandermeulen jumps in to confirm that Sean Vandermeulen is in Victoria. Just how hot does that room get with his sim rig running, Zoe? That's what I need to know. Like, just how much heat is being generated in there, or how high do you have the aircon turned up? Because that is, I've got no words. I'm done. I'm out.
I will say, Jared, and for those at home who may not know, these rigs get hotter than you might imagine. I ran the 6 hours of the Glen on the weekend, and my fans cut out halfway through the race, and it instantly went from very comfortable to very uncomfortable. So they do put out a surprising amount of heat, and these guys are working hard. But it's definitely a brave soul that gets their rig out in Victoria at this time of the year. There's no doubt about it.
Zoe claims that's his everyday attire, no matter the weather. the bloke has the best thermal management system in his genetics that I can imagine. Then that's incredible.
This is good. This is good.
We take a look a little further back through the pack. We'll steer the attention to Dean Logsdale as he starts to creep up behind Sean Vandermeulen. And looking ahead, Nick Heusler getting into this as well. The battle for ninth alive and well. We've got a few little ones going on around the place. Chad Vigar's come in for his second stop, which put Rain Campbell back up into the top spot. 1:21.37 from Campbell, the fastest lap of the race so far. Wayne Walker behind, running a 22 flat. His best a 21.59. So Rain Campbell absolutely flying along on those new tyres. Poynton and Latham poured up in it as well. John Latham gets the best of Mark Poynton up the hill, but don't count the Probably Juice Racing entry out just yet.
I'll tell you what, just a quiet side note, that car of John Latham's for Shadow Racing is an absolute delight to look at. That is absolutely gorgeous. And whoever paints up your liveries, John, you owe them absolutely splendid.
And that's a new one for Shadow Racing as well. In fact, I don't even know that he had that going for us last week. Although we did have a couple of livery issues to overcome for week one, so we may have missed it last week on the coverage. But yeah, spot on. The Shadow Racing entry is looking resplendent this season. Certainly not the only one though, as we see Jamie Dyke just getting closer and closer behind Mark Poynton. Needs to start watching those mirrors, because that is a Fisher Motorsports car coming along very quickly. Brett Fisher putting the hand up and saying he's done the Shadow Racing liveries. Mate, a solid job, no two ways about it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some colours that work together and there's some colours that don't, and that car looks absolutely delightful. So congratulations, you have earned your money on that one. But for now, we do need to get back and have a look at the angry of Rygar and Vanderkram. Is there going to be any little team games that get played here? Is Chad going to step out of the way for Matt to come through? Or are these guys free to race and going to battle it out? But we do see Matt Vanderkram makes a little bit of a mistake and immediately comes under threat from Varga. Once again, Angry Birds and Quantum Racing are battling it out, and Varga has got the better of Vanderkram there, which is not something that we have said all that many times in the recent seasons, Jared.
No, it's I don't think they've actually found themselves racing each other too often in the last season, but Varg's right back amongst it this season for sure, and has found his pace once again. It's I'm watching this interval, up front with Rain Campbell. It doesn't seem to matter what Wayne Walker does here. He just cannot close that gap. We're back out to 4.5 and approaching 5 seconds. Campbell is absolutely flying.
Yeah, I'm just looking at their times. He's another 0.2 faster that lap. Jared 2.5 almost. He's doing a fantastic job out the front, and really is driving quite quickly. So he is very comfortable around Road Atlanta in a Gen3 Super. Absolutely no doubt about it.
Now I'm just taking a look at the timings here. This is going to go, look, it's not going to be super tight on time if we have a clean race here to the end. But with 8 laps to go at 1.5 minutes a lap, we're talking about, sort of 12 or 13 minutes of racing left. We are down to 15 minutes of race time left. So if we get another safety car at this point, that's going to make it a time-limited race rather than a lap-limited race. I'm pretty hopeful that we're going to see this go right through to the full intended race distance.
Yeah, I would hope so. It's early enough now. We had a fast enough race one, but I would like to hope there's still 30 minutes until the downtime happens. So hopefully we do get to see this race run out. I know that they can't extend it now, Jared, but gee, I hope that it makes the end. It would be disappointing to have such a fast race one be well inside when we needed to finish and still go time finish. That would be a real shame for the guys.
Yeah, I don't think there's any hope of that at the moment. As we see Stewart, a huge move, Vanderkram backing out of that early to let him through. Doesn't want to jeopardise his position just at the moment. because at this stage, Vanderkruijp on track for a top 15 result. Probably not what he was hoping for, but certainly not one to be sneezed at in such a competitive field, and in such a big field as well. We've got 36, 37 cars out on track for this race. Jamie McKnight's not starting race 2, but a fully stocked field of race entries tonight here at Road Atlanta. It sets us up so nicely for the rest of this season, and really looking forward to what this racing delivers. Mate, I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to see them at the Bend.
Yeah, it's always exciting to go to new tracks, and you know the Bend is new. It's not that old in real life. It's not a genuinely classic track, if that makes sense. So a lot of drivers aren't going to know their way around it all well, and yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be exciting to see these guys out there and trying things and see how they go. It's going to be good.
Just keep an eye on the interval. Campbell again, just gnawing away at the time. Wayne Walker, a good half second the lap prior. He's just dropped another 3/10 Rain Campbell. Campbell is absolutely storming home. He wants to get this done and dusted. He doesn't want to risk the time limitation, clearly.
No, I just hope for his sake that he understands his tyre management and knows what he needs to do, and doesn't see himself reach a point where suddenly he can't keep doing these fast laps. But for now, he is turning out a beautiful job. He is turning out quick lap after quick lap, and that was one of his first laps outside of the 21s, which is basically qualifying pace. So he is absolutely a man on a mission, and driving absolutely beautifully lap up.
I've just taken a quick peek over the crew chief's shoulder in Rain Campbell's pit, and I can see on the clipboard there, tyre management and drive them off the car is what he's going for here.
Yeah, fair.
5 seconds out in front and no sign of slowing down. Absolutely stonking laps from Rain Campbell. One Performance Racing entry is on a mission here, and yeah, from last week's performance and this week, he's going to be in there with a shot at the end of this season, I can tell you that much.
And I absolutely know, Jared, that a lot of drivers are to back it up. And that's when little mental things start to creep in. You start to not think as much as you would like to, and maybe not pay as much attention. So, Rain probably going with the theory that it's a race car, just keep driving it fast and get it to the finish line.
Take a look back a little further in the pack. Here's Rick Vigar. He's all over the back of Phil Manuel's entry, and Todd Martin just up the road. Probably a little grateful to have just a bit of breathing room, because Vigar has been putting in some decent laps himself this race. He looks to the inside. This again, it's one of those few opportunities for a classic Supercars pass. Vigar very nearly putting himself across the front of Manuel's car, but gets the pass done. Assisted a fair bit there, I think, by Phil just recognising the need to back off just a touch to keep them both in the race. And for Troy Sipple and Todd Martin, the two Quantum Racing entries, they're going to be watching the mirror a little more closely now, because here comes Rick Vigar.
Yeah, and he appears to be a man on a mission. He wants to move, so he's not hanging around. And some really good heads-up driving by Phil Manuel there, just making sure, as you said, that he kept them both in the race, Jared. It's very easy to be pig-headed, say I'm entitled to be here, and I'm not going to move. And at the end of the day, while the other car might get a penalty if you're taken out, and you're still taken out. So bit of good heads-up driving, making sure that both drivers got to make their way to the finish line.
It looks like, as we jump to James Hardy there, that Andrew Rushworth and he may have come together, or that Hardy's had a bit of a moment. Go back and take a quick look and see if we can what's happened for James Hardy here. We're watching Andrew Rushworth approach the corner. It looks like Hardy's just gotten a little eager on the throttle. Very, very lucky to avoid going into the wall like we saw in race 1. But that's been enough to allow Rushworth to go through pretty well uncontested.
So easy to do in these cars. Won't be the first person to do, won't be the last. It's just a part of driving these supercars, Jared, that at some point you're going to be looking at a that you didn't want to look at based on a bit of wheel spin. We do now jump back and just have a look. Once again, Angry Birds cars and the Quantum cars are racing each other.
Big moment there. Vigar just getting a little aggressive with pushing over, and Todd Martin sent into the kitty litter. I I'll ask you to keep an ear out on the race control radio for that one, I reckon there. Josh?
I haven't heard anything yet, but that's not to say there might be something coming a little bit later. Claude Martin may be pretty busy getting his pointing straight and getting towards the finish line.
We are down to the last few laps here. Lap 32 of 35. Brian Campbell about to, he was actually already a quarter of the way into lap 32, I should say. So he's making good progress and extending that lead further. Wayne Walker, a huge gap to Ken Latter in third, and then an even bigger gap to this battle that's been going on for quite some time. Somehow Latham managing to hold up Poynton and Dyke lap after lap after lap. Some great defensive driving.
Yeah, it is. He's doing an absolutely fantastic job holding this position. Latham, it's been a really good night. Some genuine glimpses last season of this pace, and tonight may be the night that he gets those just desserts, because he has put in an absolutely splendid drive, and to this point has really shown some fantastic car conditions and just kept the car pointing forward all night and doing a really good job. Poynton and Dyke are not two names to be taken lightly, and he hasn't found himself, nervous or driving too defensively or making silly mistakes just because of the people behind him. He's doing a great job.
It's worth pointing out that Jamie Dyke had his fill of defensive driving ahead as Latham comes into the pit. Has he miscalculated his fuel?
Surely.
That's really unfortunate if that's the case, because he's been doing so well, and now just a couple of laps short. If he's having to come in to just make a quick splash and dash, that is devastating for John Latham. Even worse if that's a drive-through that we haven't been. No, he's into the pits. No, he's stopped in. This is a third pit stop, so it wasn't a compulsory one. That's really unfortunate for John Latham. Really good drive, and is not going to finish where he very rightly deserved to.
Yeah, that's a real shame, and must have just been a small miscalculation under or with the fuel. I do wonder, Jared, whether I have seen it before where the safety car laps throw erroneous fuel averages at our drivers. So obviously they use a lot less fuel under safety car, and I have seen people caught before where their fuel calculators tell them that they need X amount of litres, but it is unfortunate the safety car laps in there, and it just leaves them a lap short. And I wonder if that's what's happened, and John Latham's made that decision to go in now and give himself an extra lap, maybe grab a couple of extra positions. But that's a genuine shame, and dropped him all the way back to 15th.
Yeah, not what he would have had in mind, but anyhow, it's better than crashing out altogether and not making it to the end because you ran out of fuel on that back straight, I suppose. Although I don't know that he'll see it that way just at the moment. We'll keep an eye on this one because Stewart and Varga are still battling it out. They've been going at it for a little while now, since kind of getting out of touch with the two Angry Birds they were with a little earlier. Further up though, Poynton and Dyke now really going at it. Jamie Dyke, I was starting to say before we got wrapped up in the unfortunate circumstances there for the unfortunate circumstances there in terms of fueling for John Latham. Jamie Dyke had a crack of a race last night in a league we were watching, where he's had to fight against some very defensive driving for I think about 8 or 9 laps. And so he's certainly well practiced at the moment. The question is, will Road Atlanta offer the opportunity that he needs to get past Poynton? I don't know that it will. He's had so many laps to try it on. I do wonder if he's just saving it up here or what the case will be. But we're on to the last lap now, so it's got to be now or never for Jamie Dyke if he does want to get that extra position.
I think short of a mistake that from Poynton, Jamie Dyke is just a little bit far off the back of but certainly too far to make a move. He's going to be relying on closing the gap up over the first half of the lap so that he gets a run out of turn 9 on the way down to the turn 10 chicane you're right. Jamie Dyke had a really good race last night and found himself challenged appropriately and unable to get past a couple of other cars. But this is not the place that you want to go. If you want to exercise demons, Jared, and get some passes done, Road Atlanta in Supercars is probably not the place to come and do it. We do now see him close up that gap a little bit. Still sits at 3.5 tenths. And we just see now Mark Poynton got a nice exit and he extends that gap. He's obviously still only around that 3 tenths. But out. We do jump forward now to Rain Campbell, see him meet the checkered flag straight away there. So that's a fantastic result. Wayne Walker, some 7.5 seconds back. So Rain Campbell has absolutely walked all over him. As we see now, Ken Latta crosses the line podium. Mark Poynton and Jamie Dyke come through 4th and 5th. And as expected, Dyke can't quite get to the line. Fantastic show to get to the finish. Were happy to give it up. They absolutely weren't. And they were working hard. It looks like Vandermeulen is going to cross the line in 6th, Logsdale in 7th, Allman in 8th, Chad Vigar in 9th, Stephen Varga in 10th. We, however, have jumped back to have a look at the battle for 13th. Our mate John Latham has been able to grab a couple of positions after his pit stop and salvages a somewhat decent result with a 13th, Hardy in 14th, and Matt Vanderkran all the way back to a top 15. Probably not
I
a bad result
suspect he was on
considering
absolute fumes there. Oh, here we go, final quarter. Scott Gamble and Rick Vigar to the line. Gamble forces his way on the inside, just barely sneaks through. We've got another similar battle coming down the hill here. Scott Mackay getting through on Nick Heusler. Can he hold it? Comes up the inside, a fantastic line, charges over, closes the door, and in the end, only a 10th in it. A very, very close finish there, right throughout the field. I actually think Vanderkran ran out of fuel there because he had no pace at all down the back straight in trying to hold off John Latham. He just moved to the side and got out of the way. And I think what's happened is actually that he had run out of fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like that, and a real shame. At least he got it over the finish line. And some fantastic racing there, Jared. Some guys who obviously knew that they could get that move done around the last corner, but probably not confident that they could get it stuck. And the finish line here at Atlanta is on exit, so you can absolutely send it through the last corner and not really worry about whether you exit great for overall speed down the main straight, because you are pretty much still turning when you cross the finish line. And what a absolutely fantastic way to finish this race, with numerous passes made on the last corner. What a great end to this race.
Yeah, huge finish. We might bring a couple of these guys in to have a chat, and Josh, while I work away on just trying to figure out the source of our issues with our results screens tonight, we might start with third place tonight, Ken Latta. And Ken, welcome back to the booth.
Yeah, well, I think it's my first time being here in this league.
It is actually. No, I stand corrected. Sorry. Well, welcome to the booth for the first time, mate. A quality race there from you, but not a lot of traffic around you towards the end there. Some clear air for quite a while.
Yeah, I had a few back markers and stuff like that, and then I nearly put the thing in the wall. I think about 3 or 4 laps to go on that race, and I thought after that, I guess I'll just bring it home. Don't have to push that hard. So
an absolutely great battle in the first half of that race, Ken, with yourself, Wayne Walker, and Mark Poynton, I think it might have been. Were you held up at all throughout that process in that little fight, keeping your eyes on going on?
Well, I don't really think so. Like, I managed to sort of get away from them, like probably about a second or so, and then I just made a bit of an error, which brought Gamble right back into it, and then I made another error, which let him pass. So, and after that, it was just sort of slipping behind him, and then try and sort of hurry him along a little bit, and I managed to get him back there just before the pit stop. But obviously, as you've seen, Walker pit 1 lap before us, and he got the jump.
Yeah, it was surprising to me. Huge undercut with that jump. when you came out of the pits. You put on one hell of a show, mate. I think you forgot that some of that's in January as you came up over the turn 2 and across the crest into 3. But did you think at that point that you were half a chance of getting onto the back of Wayne, or were you pretty, resigned to the fact that he was gone when you saw how far he was as you came out of pits?
Well, I mean, you always think that there's a chance, and then there was a chance, and I was starting to get him back a little bit, and then just the small little errors, and then that's just enough to sort of drop you off a little bit, and then if you try and sort of push, particularly on a track like this, it hurts you even further. So you got to try and sort of restrain yourself and not overdrive the track, and just try and be smooth.
And it's a really good point, mate. These cars are so easy to make mistakes in, as you said, nearly all at the end. So I think it's an interesting perspective that we don't hear much of, that need to just get a finish, and getting a finish you did, mate. Absolutely. Results across both races tonight. A huge congratulations from us. You drove absolutely magnificently, and I can't wait to see more of you over the weeks and see whether we can have a chat to you again in the booth and see how you go in the upcoming races. Tell me that a pretty cool looking calendar this year. Where are you keen to get to? What's going to be exciting for you? Where are we going to see the very best of Ken Latta?
I haven't even really looked at the calendar, and I don't know. I had a 9.5 day at work, so I'm pretty buggered. So so I don't know. I will have a look, and hopefully I'll give you an answer if I get back on the podium.
And not a problem, mate. After a big day, you've absolutely fantastic night. So well done. Enjoy your spoils, and we will let you get back to the team at Fishy and digest the night that was.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Ken Latta there taking P3, and we welcome back to the comms booth none other than Wayne Walker from Accelerate Sim Racing. Wayne, it's second time in 2 weeks that we've had a chat to you here, mate. I think we're going to make it a bit of a feature if you keep this up.
Oh, I hope so, but the competition's getting better and better, sort of every season. So, but I'll be trying.
Wayne, a really impressive battle in that first half of the race. Yourself, Ken Latta, and I think it was Scotty Gamble involved at one point. It was really interesting to watch, a great battle. You were the one who blinked first and dived in pits. Were you confident at the time that you could get out and jump out in front?
Well, yeah, that was the plan. I'm not sure what happened to Scott, but yeah, I was able to jump Ken as well and get up into second. So it was, that was the plan, to pit early and try and undercut and then just try and hold position.
And were you close on fuel at the end, mate? You were one of the first to go from the field. Did you have to do any fuel saving or?
No, I didn't have to do any fuel saving, but I come across the line with about a litre left.
Yeah. Okay. So look, some fantastic calculations, and pretty cool to see. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Rain was quick tonight. He seemed to be pulling a couple of tenths at least every lap. Were you on the edge or?
I was on the edge trying to catch, but I think he pitted 2 laps later, so he had fresher tyres. But still, he had good pace tonight. So yeah, he probably deserved that win in the feature.
Mate, well said. An absolutely fantastic race and a fantastic night from you to go with the first week. Enjoy your spoils. Enjoy digesting the evening team. You've done an absolutely fantastic job, and feeling that it won't be too long. There won't be too many more races until we're chatting again. So congratulations again, and absolutely spectacular drive.
Thank you.
Wayne Walker there taking out P2 for tonight, but the absolute domination there in race 2, no other way to put it. Rain Campbell, welcome to the booth. The One Performance Racing entry performed very, very nicely for you tonight. Where on earth did you find all the extra pace?
Yeah, look, I obviously did Scops earlier in the week on Sunday, so I've done a fair amount of laps around here. So that probably helps. It's obviously a different setup, like I wasn't using this setup for that, but yeah, it took a little bit for me to get to grips with the difference in between the set that I was using and obviously this setup, which was probably evident in qualifying. I made the mistake and was a little bit down the order and then had to try and come back through. And then I've had some shifter issues tonight. I can't get it to go down gears, so that was when I locked up and half spun behind ladder. And yeah, but no, it was really good. I was really happy with the performance in race 2. Car felt really good.
Mate, if that's the sort of pace we're going to see from you week in, week out with hardware issues, I'm a little concerned for the rest of the field and on how they keep up with you once you get all that sorted then.
Oh, look, there's a lot of guys in here that are the same pace as me, no matter what hardware I'm on. It's going to be really good. Hopefully we can just stay consistent and try and fight Wayne and Scotty and Kenneth and whoever else is up there at the moment and for the championship. That'll be nice. Yeah, I really like Road Atlanta. I really don't like Spa, so that probably attributed to it. Yeah, it's always nice to drive a track and a car you really like. It always feels really good, so that helps.
I've got to ask, Rain, you were absolutely bolting in that feature race, and we commented on it during the race about the size of the gap that you were pulling and the fact that you just weren't slowing down. Was there ever a gap that you were happy to manage? Did you just want to keep punching out fast laps? Was there much of a strategy, or was it just head down and get to the checker as quick as you can?
I was actually trying to save the tyres. I was trying to save fuel on the tyres, so I was lifting into off the back straight to save some fuel because I was worried that the guys behind me, they were all obviously in sort of a 3-car train, so I was worried they were going to jump me on fuel. So I wasn't actually pushing too hard. I was pushing through sort of the first and middle sector, and then when I'd sort of come onto the back straight, I'd sort of lift a little bit through that section onto it and then off it as well. And then I was trying to manage the tyres as well because I was like, well, if I get a safety car, I don't want to just try and bolt now and then be stuck in a situation where my tyres are cooked and the guys behind me are going to jump me under the safety car. But it's also a bit of a situation where it is a bit of a one-line track. It's very difficult to pass, especially in these cars where there's 0 to little slipstream. Unless you're getting a massive run onto the back straight, you can't pass anywhere. So yeah, it was a bit of a management game trying to do it all, but it worked out. So
they say that slow is smooth and smooth is fast, and if you're telling me that that's the pace that you pull out when you fuel and tyre save, it's pretty impressive. It was a hell of a drive, mate, and you know, there's not a huge amount to say, to be honest. You absolutely brained them tonight, so well done. I look forward to seeing you over the rest of the season, and you know, what a battle we're shaping up. Yourself, Wayne Walker. You know, there's a bunch of guys in here that are so fast, and I'm sure that your appetite is you know, whet at the thought of being able to you know, really hook into the rest of this season and battle the whole way through.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this league actually. It's very refreshing to race. A lot of these guys I don't really race, to be honest. Like Scotty Gamble and stuff is probably the only one that I race in Scops, and yeah, it's actually been really good. I've enjoyed the rules, especially one of the rules that I really like that I've never actually experienced before is the fast lane. And I didn't know about it until they said it on the pre-brief on race 1 for last week. Yeah, it's really refreshing actually to come to a league that's doing a little bit of different stuff to a lot of the usual crowd. So I'm actually really enjoying my racing here. So glad to be here.
That's what we like to hear, Brian.
Sorry, what was that? Just cut out a little bit for me.
It's what we like to hear, mate. It's always good to hear that people are coming along and enjoying the league, because it means that we've got some pretty amazing talent to actually showcase on the broadcast. It makes the whole lot just a pleasure to watch, and certainly your drive tonight was one of those, mate. So congratulations on the win there in race 2, and looking forward to chatting to you again at some point, I'm sure, throughout the rest of this season.
Yeah, thanks guys, and thanks for the broadcast as well. I watched the first race, all first round back, and you guys do a really good job. One thing that's really noticeable about your broadcast is normally most broadcasts that I watch back are contrasted and edited up very well, and your broadcast looks very, very well out of the box from a production point of view. So congratulations on that as well.
Appreciate it, mate. We'll take the hats off to SDK for making it so easy to make it look so bloody good. It doesn't hurt to have some drivers on track that make the action look pretty good for us as well. Makes it an easy job for Josh and I, and appreciate it again tonight for you, Ray.
Thanks guys, and shout out to One Performance Racing, all the boys there. They're some of the best guys out there. So thanks.
We'll see you soon, I'm sure. Rain Campbell taking P1 here in race number 2 tonight. Josh, I don't think there's much else to say after that. That was an absolute cracker of a round 2, and for you, the first round you've seen here in the new season, a few new names getting in amongst it, and definitely not disappointing so far.
No, well, I don't really have many words, Jared. It's not often that I'm stuck for words, but the racing tonight was absolutely fantastic. A track that is hard to pass on. Typically makes it easy to battle on, and we really saw that tonight. Not a huge amount of passing, but battle packs everywhere. I get to race here myself this year. That has just absolutely lit the fire. It's going to be a lot of fun. These guys did a phenomenal job setting us up for the season. What a cool way to go about it. Long Beach next week probably couldn't go, more contrasting places. Not a huge amount of undulation at Long Beach, Jared. Lots and lots of walls and what will inevitably be more absolutely fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. And I was about to mention that actually Long Beach next week, it's almost a bit more in line with what you'd call the spiritual style of supercars racing, isn't it? Concrete barriers, street circuit. It's going to be a very, very interesting race to watch. So we do hope you'll join us for it. We'll be back again same time next week to bring all the action to you for round 3 at Long Beach. The Alliance Sim Racing V8 Supercar Series is off and racing on what was set to be a very, very exciting Season 5. I can't wait. I'm sure the drivers are keen to get into it as well. So for tonight, we're going to leave it there. On behalf of Josh Harris and myself and everyone at the Simple Racing broadcast team, a huge thank you, as always, to our major sponsors here, West Automotive and Quantum Tint Solutions, as well as Nicol Photography, and of course the 24/7 Sim Services team for their fantastic race control and safety car services, which thankfully only needed to come out once tonight. It was a good way to go. If we're going to see a safety car, we'd like to only see it once. For now, though, we will leave you with the shots of Road Atlanta as we prepare ourselves for another week of fantastic V8 Supercar racing action. Do stick with us. If you haven't already, make sure you do hit that subscribe button down below. But until next time, it is goodbye for now.